Motion adjourned.
I guess tomorrow's leaving.
Natural.
I've given much thought to whether or not I, as an individual, not as a chairman of the board here, was going to make any comments this morning. And I jotted some notes down, some things, I guess they've categorized into 4 points, that I speak as an individual in reference to this entire process that we've just endured, which to me seemed like a exercise in futility and a lot of wasted time and energy that could have been focused on resolving the issues. We've been meeting with the library board for approximately 3 years, and the first thing out of our mouths collectively as commissioners who are in touch with our communities, because we have to be, it's part of our jobs, to provide the leadership and to listen to people, was you have to reach out to the rest of the county. Now, ostensibly that was done in this campaign, trying to include Lehman and Palmyra. However, not to attest the integrity of that campaign promise, I don't think that was communicated to the public. So some of the thoughts I wanted to convey, and it may not be in a prioritized fashion because I jotted them down this morning from home, and they're my thoughts. I have not consulted with my peers. There's not consensus on this, but I throw them on the table for public discussion. Number one, I think this board, and myself included, must work with the Pike County Library Board, as you've all identified earlier, so that we can maintain and sustain a vibrant library system that will service all residents of Pike County. Number two, this commissioner would like to see the Pike County Library Board adopt the current statutory rules and regulations regarding organization and operations to reflect the input of all Pike County residents with taxpayer oversight and accountability to the taxpayer for the expenditures of every dollar, since all their funds are coming from some taxpayer source other than grants and donations. Number three, and this might be controversial, but this is what's on my heart and on my mind. I think the current Pike County Library Board has been ill-advised in the expenditure of $55,000 on an ill-conceived and futile marketing campaign, with thousands of dollars also spent on attorney's fees to sue the Board of Commissioners or the Election Board. And all that did was enrich and engross the pockets of attorneys, which I try very...
For the record, I was on salary. I can say that because they're quartered out.
I believe there must be a detailed audit on these expenditures and an explanation for examination by the taxpayers of each detailed expenditure, because these monies were taxpayer dollars, and it just seems like it's a squandered waste of time, energy, and money. I believe the Pike County Library Board, who authorized these expenditures, should seriously consider, to regain their honor, the reimbursement of these expenditures out of their own pockets back to the taxpayers.
Here, here. Here, here.
It may not be comprehensive, but this is what I thought of early this morning before I got to work here. And number four, it is my opinion that all future Pike County Library Board members must be residents of Pike County, diversified and represented through all the municipalities in Pike County, and they must claim Pike County as their primary residence. I'm finished. I got enough trouble.
Motion adjourned.
I want to get a second. I think Commissioner Ford was going to get some discussion.
I think that the voters of Pike County spoke throughout the campaign and definitely yesterday. I think it now lies on our shoulders as we move forward to work with the library board, and I concur with Rich on the issues of a statute of matching the statute of expanding that board of directors. I call for the bylaws to be dissolved and reworked intelligently that protect the voters of this county. protect the assets that go with the system, and to expand that system. And I welcome to work with the library to accomplish that objective. Throughout this process that went on, a lot of things came out, the I-990s and a lot of the financial information of the library system. And one, being a commissioner that has been around for 14 years, that worked with getting the library to the dollar amounts that they're currently at, and the supporting of that process, two things came out that bothered me during this, that sometimes when you get into this job, that you don't try to micromanage and look at where all the funds are going. We originally, when we upped the amount of money that we gave the library, a portion of that was to go to the Newfoundland Library because it serviced our citizens in the western part of this particular county, and also to a smaller portion to the Delaware Township Library to help them in their endeavor in that particular municipality. When that particular board at that time came before the board asking for that, and that funding to go to directly to them instead of checks being cut out to those particular libraries, which is the way we used to do it, because by putting it through the Pike County Library system, it enabled them at that time to get more money through the state system, which made a lot of sense and was done. Somewhere along the way, that got lost. That money wasn't continued out to those services. As we move forward, I'm going to demand that that money be reestablished to the tune of what this board feels comfortable with in our appropriation process, that those two libraries receive funding, and hopefully by doing that, that will enable those branches to possibly move within the system to help work and handle the citizens of this county, with that appropriation being reestablished at a level to current spending levels. I also concur that the board should be looked at, that they be citizens of this county, permanent residents, not part-time residents, that also that we expand that board to allow to a possibly, and I'm going to propose at some point to the board, a 15-member board. And that means for each municipality, allowing them to have a representative on that particular board, and also, and why 15? Because you have to have an odd number, the commissioners and reps to that particular board. And in an accounting system, it truly makes sense that we can audit and have oversight on that for the money that is given of taxpayers' dollars. I think that is just reasonable for what the voters talked about. I think we can work with that and hopefully try to work with establishing the system throughout the county, which is an objective that the library has, and provide services that are needed to our citizens.
I think the salient factor here is obviously the composition of the board. I think that's probably the biggest issue we talked about here today, so possibly we should think about forming some type of a task force just to see how we should compose that board, because there's going to be a lot of different suggestions thrown out. There's been a lot of suggestions thrown out today that are diverse. So I think maybe that's something we can consider, to form some type of a task force to work on that issue.
The other issue that, and I'm sorry, that wasn't strong enough in removing the bylaws. The problem I have with current bylaws in the library is that they can demand and get rid of a board member, and I don't believe in that. For cause is one thing, but just to say I'm going to get rid of a library board member is inexcusable in my opinion. There should be no way that should happen, because somebody differs on an opinion of how services need to be delivered, or a building or anything else. And I just find that not acceptable.